Hey folks, so let's take a few minutes and talk about vehicles in the new edition. For the most part, from all the teasers and little tidbits that we've been receiving over the past few weeks, I think the stat line makes a lot of sense, but there's a few things that kind of confuse me, but I think I have the answer to it. One thing for sure is we knew that armor value was gone. They were getting rid of that and replacing it with wounds and toughness, which makes a lot of sense. Now, when we're talking about movement, that's in there, ballistic skill, that's in there, and we also have our saves. So that's fantastic. We were expecting that. One thing we weren't necessarily expecting was weapon skill and strength when it comes to just standard vehicles. So that was a bit surprising. Walkers, that was to be expected. And with walkers, we're going to see close combat weapons. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to see our I guess really the dreadnoughts out there with some big power claws or whatever type of power fist weapons that you have out there for them, because I don't really play them. But I'm really excited to see this edition and how it turns out when it comes to dreadnoughts and other various different walkers, because vehicles are definitely going to be much more resilient. Now, when we're talking about the vehicles themselves, you're going to have a harder time hitting things. So a walker will have probably a weapon skill along the lines of maybe an infantry model in regards to being able to hit. So maybe 3s or 4s to hit. Whereas the vehicle itself, it's kind of slow and lumbering. It might have a little difficulty running things over, people getting out of the way easily enough. So you're going to be hitting on potentially 5 and 6s. So there might be other little items that might kind of help out with those, but we'll see how that happens. When it comes to orcs, they have some really neat little additional items for close combat when it comes to their vehicles. So death rollers. Death rollers are probably going to be a thing that we're going to see again. It was much more predominant in other editions, and now I'm hoping we're going to see them come back and come back strong, because close combat is going to be a lot of fun, I think, in this edition. Another thing to mention is really when it comes to movement, we're going to be able to move just like any other model or unit, and we're going to be able to advance with our vehicles. We are going to shoot just like any other unit, but if we move, we're going to have a -1 to our ballistic skill when it comes to essentially shooting. So that makes a lot of sense. There's going to be some vehicles or some items or upgrades that might ignore that. Finally, we're going to be able to charge with our vehicles. So interrupting combat and just getting in there and maybe just causing a ruckus should be entertaining, at least, if not very effective, depending on the type of upgrades and unit that you're using to assault with. So I'm really curious to see how this works. So really, overall, it looks like these vehicles are going to be a lot more resilient, and really, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to see vehicles last a little bit longer on the table, but we're also going to see certain weapons take some of these vehicles down pretty quickly from what we've seen. Now, what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the actual stat line is when we saw large vehicles, we saw the little star that represented a stat that is modified as the battle progresses and as you lose wounds. So what I'm looking at here is maybe certain vehicles, or at least certain wound types, if you kind of stay below maybe 8 wounds or something along those lines, your stats won't be affected by damage throughout the game. But maybe anything 8 wounds or more, so 9+ wounds, you might see the red star appear, because they did mention land raiders losing their effectiveness as they moved across the table and got received wounds. So that's okay. I think I understand that, and I kind of appreciate that for some of our weaker vehicles. That makes a little bit of sense. I think I would have liked it to see things that were, let's say, 3 hull points or greater. So essentially maybe 6 wounds or greater. Those things would have essentially received some type of negative effect after losing wounds. But I guess you need to stop it somewhere, and I suppose this is a good place to be. Maybe I would have liked to have seen it a little bit lower, but we'll see how it goes. With that said, I'm really curious to hear about what your thoughts are on this. Do you think this is a good move? Do you like the idea of having vehicles in combat? I can't wait to see what chain snares and shock prows do for Dark Eldar. I'm really excited to see how that goes. So with that said, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Leave them in the comments below. If you like this stuff, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.